The stereotype of the loud and uncouth American is often perceived as an unjust label created by non-Americans who resent the pervasive influence of American culture worldwide. Yet, some wonder if there's truth to this portrayal that Americans should heed. The notion of the rude American isn't new. Mark Twain commented on the disruptive American abroad, and the narrative was further popularized by a novel and subsequent film featuring Marlon Brando titled The Ugly American. Americans might find comfort knowing that Chinese tourists are currently in the spotlight for their perceived misbehavior while traveling. So, the inquiry stands: are Americans genuinely discourteous? We aim to explore this in today's episode of the Infographics World, titled, American Behaviors Considered Rude Globally. Remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon to join our notification squad. A common critique of Americans, whether justified or not, is their loudness. This claim has circulated for quite some time. Is there any truth to it? Opinion pieces abound, but hard evidence is lacking. The Huffington Post once attributed American volume to a general lack of consideration for how one's actions affect others. The volume of Chinese tourist groups is often attributed to their limited personal space. However, Americans typically have ample space. Some take the issue of American volume quite seriously. A cafe in Ireland drew attention in 2014 with a window sign stating, "No bus, coach or loud Americans. Thank you." The sign incited controversy in the United States, leading to the question, do the critics have a valid point? Hunter S. Thompson, an American author and social critic, suggested that the perceived loudness stems from a sense of privilege, pride, and an overemphasis on individual power. In America, being heard might be acceptable, but this isn't the case in all cultures. Many visitors to the USA don't realize that tipping is often not just a kind gesture but a necessity due to low wages, making it an expected practice. Failing to tip in certain situations is seen as outright rude. Conversely, in other nations, tipping can be seen as offensive, akin to giving someone money on the street because their shoes look worn. For Americans traveling to Japan, for example, it's advisable to refrain from tipping and simply be courteous, and preferably, not overly loud. In establishments like Japanese eateries or while utilizing taxi services, offering a gratuity may result in its return. In Japan, exemplary service is a standard expectation, and monetary tips could be misconstrued as a gesture of pity. This sentiment is echoed across much of Asia, including China, Hong Kong, and South Korea, and extends to certain European regions as well. While tipping in upscale UK dining venues may be acceptable, offering a spare pound to a bartender in a classic pub might lead to an uncomfortable situation. The American reputation for directness and candor is often praised, though it can also be labeled as intrusive, depending on the locale. In many European nations, particularly within French and British dining establishments, returning a dish is considered a significant action. The maxim, "the customer is always right," doesn't quite resonate in Europe, where, as reported by The Guardian, Americans have been escorted out of upscale eateries for requesting condiments like ketchup or salt for their gourmet dishes. Polls indicate that 38% of Britons would refrain from lodging a complaint, irrespective of the food's condition. In Asia, where maintaining dignity is of paramount importance, Americans should be mindful to voice complaints in a non-offensive manner. One might approach the situation with a compliment, such as, "The meal is exquisite, but perhaps it could benefit from an additional 10 minutes on the grill?" In 2016, Trustpilot, an online review platform, acknowledged that Americans tend to voice their dissatisfaction frequently, citing a survey that verifies the American tendency to voice complaints. Turning to fashion-related topics, a viral meme praises tech moguls Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg for their casual and unpretentious attire. While Americans may occasionally opt for casual wear like flip-flops and a t-shirt, such attire might be deemed disrespectful in formal settings, on dates, or at social gatherings in various nations. In developing regions, displaying wealth through attire is expected for those who can afford it, as not everyone has that privilege. It's advisable not to underdress for appointments in Asia, and women should be cautious about revealing too much skin, which might be seen as discourteous. For example, in Thailand, a traveler dressed in shorts and a sleeveless top may not be expelled from a government office, but they might face more challenges than other visitors due to a perceived lack of respect for Thai customs. The level of concern shown by officials will match the individuals. In 2013, Bill Gates, the wealthiest individual globally, stirred controversy when he seemingly showed disrespect to South Korean President Park Geun-hye by shaking hands with one hand while keeping the other in his pocket. Gates is known for his informal approach, yet this casual handshake was perceived as audacious by the Korean media. One publication posed the question, is it a cultural misunderstanding, or a sign of disrespect? Leading to a wave of disapproval on Korean social networks. Despite cultural variances, there are universally accepted behaviors for specific events, one observer noted. However, for many Americans, such behavior isn't seen as rude but rather as an expression of friendliness or a relaxed attitude. The concept of liberty and self-expression is highly regarded in American society, in contrast to other cultures that prioritize social structure, prestige, and uniformity. The American ethos encourages vocal self-expression and authenticity, whereas a Japanese proverb warns against standing out too much. The nail that sticks out gets hammered down. The adage, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, holds more weight in the stringent societies of Asia than in the more relaxed Western cultures. Arriving late to a casual meeting may be frowned upon in the United States and Northern Europe, yet it's not always expected to be punctual in other nations. For example, in Spain, punctuality isn't considered critical, and making a fuss about it could be perceived as being overly particular or dismissive. In Thailand, Thai time is a concept that normalizes tardiness for social gatherings, treating it as a standard expectation. An article suggests that in Argentina, arriving on time for a dinner invitation can be viewed as overly eager, akin to arriving an hour early for dinner in the United States. Similarly, Moroccans are known for their relaxed approach to time, with some claiming that punctuality isn't a significant concern for them. This casual attitude towards time is also seen in Mexico, India, Indonesia, Greece, Saudi Arabia, Ghana, and Russia. However, being late in Japan or the UK is likely to offend. Interestingly, in Brazil, where timekeeping is not strictly adhered to, the term 3 p.m. English time is used to emphasize the importance of punctuality when necessary. Scholars differentiate between monochronic and polychronic societies, those that emphasize systematic living and adherence to schedules, and those that are more flexible and spontaneous. Public displays of affection, particularly kissing or embracing, are cultural missteps that Americans should be aware of. In some nations, public displays of affection are as jarring as engaging in sexual acts in public would be in the United States. A key guideline is to avoid public displays of intimacy throughout the Middle East. Despite Dubai's modern appearance, public kissing there could result in imprisonment. In Indonesia, being caught kissing in public might lead to a hefty fine of $29,000. Similar restrictions apply across many Muslim societies and even in non-Muslim regions of Asia known for their strict social etiquette, where public affection is generally frowned upon outside of legal frameworks. While holding hands may be permissible, any display that could elicit a "get a room" reaction in the United States would certainly be viewed negatively. In some cultures, making noise might be a minor annoyance, but public displays of affection can be considered a grave violation of both legal and social norms. It's essential to acquaint yourself with the local customs and etiquette before setting foot in a new country. Heeding this guidance can greatly enhance your global travel experiences. In considering the perspective of Americans, it's worth noting that they, too, might feel discomfort when their personal space or social norms are encroached upon. Such instances may arise when an individual from Asia casually inquires about an American salary, age, or comments on their apparent weight gain, actions deemed acceptable in their culture but considered discourteous by American standards. Consider the scenario where a Spaniard arrives an hour late to a dinner, spoiling the evening. Or the situation where a Chinese woman becomes offended simply because you expressed care and affection towards her. Bearing these examples in mind, is it justifiable to label Americans as disrespectful or unattractive? We're eager to hear your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you for tuning in, and remember to hit the like button, share our content, and subscribe to our channel. See you next time.